Welcome back to Real Estate 101. Today we're going to continue our discussion on home renovations and talk a little bit about planning. And I'm pleased to be joined once again by Daniel Ott of Artisan Contracting. Daniel, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, Dan, so I want to start today's show and I want to ask you, how long does a normal renovation process take?
I used to tell clients a potential timeline for their project, and they would ask me, how can it be done so quickly? And I would say proper planning. But since the invasion of reality renovation shows, everything gets done in an hour or less. So I still say the same timelines, but the typical response is, why will it take so long? Now, the actual length of a project will very much depend on the project itself. So a bathroom should take about 5 weeks, and a kitchen or a basement should take about 8 weeks, and a whole home renovation with an addition on it should take about 13 weeks. Now, all of these timelines that I've just talked about are only the construction phase. The planning phase, if done properly, should be much longer. I typically tell people who are looking to put an addition on their home that our relationship is going to last about a year. It could be less, but I want to be ahead of schedule rather than behind.
Okay, so how does someone come up with a budget for a project?
I like to think that a budget should be closely tied to the value that you're receiving for a set amount of funds. Now, some clients don't have a budget when we come to them. That could be because they have unlimited funds and don't really care, but most probably it's because they don't know what a certain project should cost. So I like to ask an alternative question. Joe, is there a dollar figure that you're scared to spend on your house? And that will always generate some sort of an answer. Now, we as contractors really want to and really need to know your budget in order to do our job properly. A lot of clients think that we want to know this number so that we can use it all up. Well, more often, it's because your budget is probably going to be a little low, and we want to prepare you for spending a little bit more money rather than you getting sticker shock in the end. So, importantly, we want to make sure that your budget is reasonable so that we're not wasting anyone's time, ourselves, but also yours.
Now, you talked about value. Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure, Joe. First of all, you want to make sure that there's value in your relationship with the contractor. Is he or she bringing enough skills, expertise, and services to your project to make it worth the fee that you're paying them? Secondly, everyone should have, or already does, have a return on investment mentality. For instance, if you're spending $100,000 on your home, are you going to be able to get that back tomorrow if you were going to sell your house? Now, a realtor or an appraiser or some contractor such as us can help you come up with those numbers. So we will bring in realtors or appraisers as necessary to help us come up with both a current market analysis as well as a potential future value for your property in your location. And the difference between these two numbers should represent a wise budget that you could spend. So for example, your home is currently worth $500,000. We find a potential future value of your property of $800,000. That gives us a $300,000 window in which to operate wisely as long as the proper renovations are done and with good quality, that you should be able to recoup all $300,000 if you sold the home tomorrow.
Okay, so I want to talk about something a little bit more specific now in regards to the renovation project, and that is building permits. Now, when does someone need a building permit and what's the process?
I've said in other episodes as well that we suggest getting a building permit when there's anything structural. Now, this could be as simple as removing a bearing wall in a kitchen in order to make the kitchen larger. Obviously, if you're rebuilding the entire home or putting an addition on, a building permit is going to be involved as well. Now, obtaining a building permit is quite the extensive process, and I highly recommend that you hire a professional to do it for you. Don't let someone tell you that you can go get it yourself. There's a lot of coordination with different professionals in order to get to that final permit stage. So first, research needs to be done in your property as to what can actually be done to it. So research will always include phoning your local municipality to figure out the zoning bylaws, and may include updating your survey or even a soil analysis of your property. After that, designs must be made within the parameters set forth by your municipality and or the conservation authority that might have authority on your property. These designs will have to drafted into architectural plans and signed and stamped by either an accredited designer, an architect, or an engineer. Furthermore, different pieces of the puzzle may have to be specifically engineered, such as the foundation, or the floor systems, or the roof trusses, or even the mechanical systems. And not always, but sometimes. All of this will have to be gone through the proper channels and go to the proper authorities for clearances before it ever arrives at the building department. These authorities include such things as the Conservation Authority, Niagara Escarpment Commission, or the zoning department at your local municipality. And only after all of that is cleared will the building department look at it and finally issue that final building permit for you.
Okay, Dan, so why don't you tell me what the advantages are of hiring a design build firm as opposed to just a builder?
There's a reason, Joe, that we started offering design services at Artisan. Years ago, it was quite common for clients to come to us with a set of architectural plans and with a budget. The problem is that these two don't always walk hand in hand. Way more often than not, the architectural plans were something that the clients wanted, but that their budget could not afford. We like to start with a budget and then design within it. And if your budget can't support the type of project that you want, we're going to let you know. But more importantly, it's nice to have everything under one umbrella. Certainly, general contractors hire other companies to take care of certain aspects of the process, but your warranties and your guarantees and the relationship are all built up with one company. So it's a great idea to start that relationship building by having your contractor also take care of the design process.
All right, Dan, so can a relationship between a contractor and a homeowner change what is in the proposal?
Yes. So what is included in your contract proposal will very much be dependent upon whether you've chosen to go the estimate route or the contract route. And for more information on the differences between these two, watch our episode on quotes versus estimates. With an estimate, you're not going to have built up as much of a relationship between the client and the contractor. And your contract is not going to be very specific, it's going to be more vague. And this is because there are no definitives to go off of. Your contract is going to be riddled with allowances. So if you go over your allowance on, say, your cabinetry, then you can expect to be dinged for that extra cost on your final invoice. With a quote, however, you'll have built that relationship up much further. And you're going to have met with each other a few more times because the planning process is going to be much longer. And the level of the quote is also going to be dependent on how many times you've met and how far you've gone in this planning. Our highest level of quote at Artisan includes one full, final, guaranteed dollar figure with no allowances, and includes a fully designed and detailed layout and a materials list.
Okay, so with the differences between quotes and estimates for many contractors, how can a homeowner compare, if they wanted to compare apples with apples, how do they do that?
The only way to truly compare apples to apples is to have an all-inclusive design package prepared by an independent designer or design firm. Because of this need in the marketplace, I've actually just started another company called White Willow Designs, Inc., in which we take care of this process. So we will prepare simple layouts, all-inclusive design packages, architectural plans, interior designing, and everything in between. So the all-inclusive design package will include 3D design layouts, it will include architectural plans, it will include full detailed materials lists, as well as a full scope of work. And you can take this full package and bring it to several contractors of your choice to quote from. And they should all be able to come up with an accurate quote. And you will be comparing apples to apples because they all have the same information to go off of. But remember to still ask them, is the quote guaranteed?
And are there any other advantages to using professional designers in the planning process?
Absolutely. One of the greatest benefits is that you know what your renovated house is going to look like before the renovations even start. So we offer 3D layouts, images, and walkthroughs to help you see that. Our interior decorators meet with you to help pick out materials to make sure that everything is cohesive with itself, but also with existing parts of the home that you might be keeping.
All right, Dan, so for today's final question, it sounds like there's a lot of information that goes into planning. How does someone choose their contractor based on the information you provided us today?
We actually did another episode dedicated to this question that was entitled How to Choose a General Contractor. There's also a section on our blog on our website entitled 10 Things to Know When Hiring a Contractor that will help you with the answer to that. Further than this though, there are two types of clients that I would like to talk about. Because it's not just the client choosing a contractor, it's also a contractor choosing a client. The first type of client I want to talk about is the one that's obsessed with the price. They don't want to put any time or money out on their own part, but they expect 10 other different contractors to put their own time and money out in coming up with a price. They don't care about what that contractor has to offer. They don't care about what the contract actually says. They don't care about the quality of the workmanship going into their project. They only care about the price. And ultimately, I don't think they really care about themselves, and as such, they're not going to be happy with anything that's delivered to them in the end, except maybe their price. The type of contractor that I am is looking for a client that knows the difference and approaches this process in a much smarter way. They realize that everyone brings something different to the table, and they're looking for that contractor that complements themselves, that they're going to be able to get along with. They care about me, they care about the project, they care about the quality of the project, so ultimately they care about themselves and how happy they are going to be with the entire process once it is all completed. My personal driving force in life is respect. Respect for others by others, respect for others by myself, respect for myself by myself, and respect for myself by others. If you don't care about what I have to offer other than my price, then you don't have respect for me, and I'm going to lose respect for you. Remember that this is a relationship that you are also investing in, not just in your home. Respect is going to have a huge play in all of that. Tell me all the information that I need to know when I ask for it, and the entire process is going to run much smoother, and you're going to be far happier in the end. You can rest assured that the planning process will be well taken care of by choosing either a contractor like Artisan, who manages the entire process, or an independent design firm like White Willow. Renovations are invasive, so make sure that they take as little time as possible by implementing proper planning.
All right, Dan, good stuff. Thanks for coming on today's show.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
So there you have it. Before you start your next renovation project, it's a good idea to sit down with a home contractor or a home design firm to help you plan your next renovation. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Joe Terceira, and we'll see you next time.